Hello, everyone, and welcome to another lesson. I'm very happy to have you here with me today. Today, I'm going to show you how to build a new AI automation that will create a new logo for you. So, logo creation is a service that you can provide on Fiverr, on Upwork, and you can charge from $50 to $300 to $500 per logo. And there's a lot of freelancers that have generated hundreds of thousands of dollars through these websites. And with the new, well, it's not new anymore, but with Nano Banana coming up and the quality that it provides, we will today utilize that to create not just a one logo scenario, but it can create us variations as well. So I'm going to build that automation with you guys. And I'm here in my n8n instance here. First thing, I'm going to rename my workflow here. So I'm going to name it logo generator build. All right. After renaming, then things become easy. First thing, we need to define how we're going to start the workflow. And it is called the trigger. The trigger step is the first step inside of the workflow, how it gets started. Since I'm now in testing mode and I'm building, I always do trigger manually, which does not activate, but you can execute it within the scenario. Notice that the trigger has these round edges at the beginning. This signifies that it's a first node that the workflow should start with, and it has a lightning bolt as well. All right, so since I have now my trigger here, I first need to set up some stuff. So the edit fields node is a very, very, very important node. I have a separate lesson on that on my YouTube channel. Make sure to check that out. So first of all, I need to set up some values. First of all, I need to set up the topic. So what is this logo about? Second, I need to set up the name, so the brand name. And third, I need to set up variations. So how many variations do I want? So let's start here with 2 variations, for example. Let's name this Green Acres. So it's going to be about agriculture. And I have everything now set up in here. I can name this set logo, for example. Now that I have my variables here, if I execute this one, and I can see here, if I open it, I have the JSON here in the schema way, agriculture, green acres, and variations. So I have now the things set up. Now, in order to get a different logo, you just need to go into this node and change these values. Now, since I'm going to have variations, so that means I'm going to do loop over. So that's on my mind immediately. And here I have one item output. So if I put a loop over node here, it will only do one item, right? It will only iterate over once because it has one item. So basically what I want is to take the variations that I have inside of here and output it here as items. And to do that, I'm going to utilize a code node, just a simple one, not a very complex one. So I'm going to utilize JavaScript here to basically tell it to output based on the variation number that we have. I'm going to paste in my code here. You can get that code from do ChatGPT or something. I'm not a coder, but I use, of course, ChatGPT, Claude to help me with that. So now if I run this, notice that it outputs 2 items based on the variation number that I put it. And this is excellent because when you feed this to a loop over node, it will just loop over twice, right? And here you can see it passed the topic, the name, and the variation number. So the first one, and it will pass the second one as well. Okay. So now that I have the variations now ready, I can now hook it to a loop over node. I have a separate lesson on loop over as well. You can check that out. And basically I have a course. Let me show you here. I have a course here called Mass and Edit full course. It's 6 hours. It goes over lots and lots of notes. Make sure to check that out if you're starting out. I'll help you get started. So I have my loop over now. It will loop twice based on whatever variation number that I have. So now it's basically utilizing utilizing Nano Banana. And to do that, I'm going to use Key.AI is I've been using it for a while. It's a service and provides VO3 and lots of other AI models. And why I like it because the pricing is a lot less. So if you go to AI, which I used before, like it's insanely expensive. I don't know why, to be honest. But with Key, you get very, very cheap prices, and I love their service. I love their nodes and everything they set up with that. Okay, so the first node, now I have these as blocks ready in my modular system. So I'm gonna get the nodes here, and then I'll explain each node on its side. Okay, so this is the key block that I have. As you can see, it is set up in a way that works. So for the loop, it's going to be connected to here for sure. Then I'm going to bring that here. And since it's a loop, it'll always go back to where it started. Okay. So let's go one by one. So this is the request. So this is the us sending a request and to this endpoint. And I put my authentications in here in the Key API inside of here, so I don't have to send headers. And basically, I have the prompt here that generates the logo with the topics and everything that we set up. Here is after I submit, I have this basically polling, and I have a video about polling, which is basically checking each interval, checking if it's done or not. And I found out if you use the because if you can use if true or false, a lot of times you end up in a loop where it's never ending because it doesn't give you an actual, because the error might be something that is wrong with the request. So you just keep on going and going and going. This is why I put a switch here, which basically caters for some of these errors. So if it's basically an internal error, there's no need for us to keep looping because it will always be an internal. So I'll switch that back to here and submit another request. If it's an image, if it's fetching an image and it's not working, it will go back. Now this image fetching is more for VO3 and whatever you have an image. In this case, we don't have an image because we're utilizing text to image. We're not using image to image. So this works for VO3 and for Nano Banana. But if it is true, then it will just process the JSON. So here the process JSON is basically taking the URL and put it in a string, and then basically downloading. Here we're using to download the video, and after we download the video, we're going to upload it into here, which is I have logo images inside of this folder. All right, so let me go back to here. So that's basically the workflow to get all these images. Let me try to go back here. Okay, see, I made a mistake here. I made it to loop to here, but it's actually needs to be looped to the loop over items, because this is the looping part. Okay, and it needs to loop back in here. But here for the error, for the polling, you just need to loop back into the status, and for these two errors, it needs to loop back to the actual submitting of the request. Okay, so you don't have to worry about all the prompts in this code node, because I will go ahead and download this JSON file for you, and you only need to click on these three dots and import from file, and you'll have this setup. And you only need to put in your credentials for Key and credentials for the Google Drive. Okay. A lot of people ask me, why doesn't it work out of if I import, it just works magically? Because, well, I'm not going to provide you with my API keys for sure. So you only need to output. Everything is set up from code, from the expressions, for everything. the node structure, you only need to put your own credentials, and that is very easy. You just need to log in for Google Drive and for Nano Banana and the Key.AI. You just need to get an API key and put it in here. All right, so let's start this. So I'm going to save this. So I have 2 variations. Let me try to make it 3. Okay, let's go crazy today. And I'm going to execute the workflow. I'm going to pause it just after the first one, just for you not to wait. So execute. As you can see here, it outputted 3, exactly as what we want. So now it's going to loop 3 times. Submitted the request, and now it's polling. So it went to the retry. Bam, it finished, and it's now uploading it to Google Drive. It's doing the second one. So as you can see, it's a very automated way. You can set this as a trigger for every time you put an image inside of a folder, but I would just leave it as manual. And then you can, for whatever client that submits a logo for you, you tell him how many variations you want. He says, okay, I might need 3 or 4. Then you put the variations here and you run this, and within like less than a minute maybe, or a couple of minutes, you will get all the logos uploaded. And see here, we finished now. You can go to here, and there you go. We have now 3 variations of the Green Acres logo. As you can see, they're beautiful with a white background, and everything works great. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this workflow and enjoyed this lesson and learned something. If you did like it, please give this video a like, subscribe for more videos in the future. See you in the next one.